बिहारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जना यशोदनंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदनंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय गांधर्विका गिरिधारी, गांधर्विका गिरिधारी गौरा हरे। जय गौरनिताय, 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 जय गौरनिताय। धर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय, श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया, भगवत्य उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। So today we are reading from Canto 5, Chapter 6, which is titled The Activities of Lord Rishabhdev. I need to display the shloka. Yeah, it's connected. Yeah. Is it projecting? Yes. So this is the shloka for today. It's the shloka in a prose kind of a format. So there's no specific meter to recite it. So we will not recite it. I will just say it once. And then we'll go for word-to-word meanings, and from there we will recite together and read the translation and purport. Yenah vavakalo manuja pasada devamaya mohitaha swavidhi niyoga shaucha charitra vihina स्वविधि नियोग शौच चरित्र विहीन देवहेलनान्य अपवर्तानि निज निजेच्छया गृहणान अस्नाननान चमन शौच केशोल्लुञ्चनादिनी कलिना धर्म बहुलेनुपहत धियो ब्रह्म ब्राह्मण यज्ञ पुरुष लोक विदूषकाः प्रायेण भविष्यन्ति. So we'll read the word to word meanings. Yena, by which pseudo-religious system? Havava, certainly. Kalau, in this age of Kali. Manuja apasadaha, the most condemned men. Deva maya mohitaha, bewildered by the external energy or illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Swavidhi niyoga shaucha charitra vihinaah, without character, cleanliness, and the rules and regulations given according to one's own duty in life. Deva helanani, negligent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Apavratani, impious vows. Nija nija ichhaya, by their own desires. Grahananaha, accepting. Asnana, anachamana, ashaucha, kesha, ulunchana, adini, concocted religious principles such as no bathing, no washing of mouth, being unclean, and plucking out the hair. Kalina, by the age of Kali. Adharma bahulena, with an abundance of irreligion. Upahata dhiyaha, whose pure consciousness is destroyed. Brahma brahmana yagya purusha loka vidushakaha, blasphemous towards the Vedas, the strict Brahmanas, ritualistic ceremonies such as sacrifice, and toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the devotees. Prayena, almost entirely. Bhavishyanti, will become. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation: people who are lowest among men and bewildered by the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord will give up the original Varnashram Dharma and its rules and regulations. They will abandon bathing 3 times daily and worshipping the Lord. Abandoning cleanliness and neglecting the Supreme Lord, they will accept nonsensical principles. Not regularly bathing or washing their mouths regularly, they will always remain unclean and they will pluck out their hair. Following a concocted religion, they will flourish. During this age of Kali, people are more inclined to irreligious systems. Consequently, these people will naturally deride the Vedic authority, the followers of the Vedic authority, the Brahmanas, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the devotees. Purport. Presently, the hippies in the Western countries fit this description. They are irresponsible and unregulated. They do not bathe and they deride standard Vedic knowledge. They concoct new lifestyles and religions. There are many hippie groups at the present moment, but they all originated from King Arhat, who imitated the activities of Lord Rishabhadev, who was situated on the Paramahamsa stage. King Arhat did not care for the fact that although Lord Rishabhadev acted like a madman, his stool and urine were nonetheless aromatic. So much so that they nicely scented the countryside for miles around. The followers of King Arhat went under the name Jains, and they were later followed by many others, particularly by the hippies, who are more or less offshoots of the Mayavad philosophy because they think themselves as the supreme personality of Godhead. Such people do not respect the real followers of Vedic principles, the ideal Brahmanas, nor do they have respect for the supreme personality of Godhead, the supreme Brahman. Due to influence of this age of Kali, they are apt to concoct false religious systems. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahaganalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Harihi Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Sunday feast which is happening today here. We are in ACS layout and parallelly Sunday feast is happening in various other centers. And I'm very happy to be in ACS layout today. I was missing this Sunday feast from a very long time due to some service responsibilities in other centers. Very happy to see my seniors, my friends, my colleagues. I seek blessings from all the devotees assembled here. I'm not qualified to speak Srimad Bhagavatam, but these days I am speaking on Srimad Bhagavatam. So please bless me. I am in Kali Yuga and we are all the sages of Kali Yuga. So somehow or the other we have to chant the holy names of the Lord and remember Lord Chaitanya and hope for his mercy so that we can come up to the standard of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is described in the chapter named as the activities of Lord Rishabdev. So all of you know who was Lord Rishabdev. Lord Rishabdev is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We have read how he appeared in this world, and there is a very nice chapter just before this chapter which is called as the teachings of Lord Rishabdev. And after having taught very nicely to all classes of people what should be done and what should not be done, he has actually left his kingly responsibilities and has adopted the Paramahamsa standard of life, or he's not adopted, he is a Paramahamsa, and acting at the Avadhuta platform basically. So let's read. So before this, he is wandering around completely oblivious of the bodily platform of life. So therefore his activities cannot be understood by common people. Vaishnavera kriya mudrana vighena bujhaya. So a pure devotee of the Lord, whatever he does, his kriya and his mudra, the actions and the gestures and other things which he performs cannot be understood by a common man. If this is true for Vaishnavas, what to speak of Vishnu or the Supreme Personality of God? So Lord Rishabh is in the category of an incarnation, so we cannot understand his pastimes. But the Bhagavatam helps us to understand. However, there are two kinds of activities of the Lord. One kind of activity is Anushtan Pradhan, and another kind of activity is Anubhav Pradhan. Anushtan Pradhan activities are those kind of activities which you can follow. For example, the pastimes of Lord Ram, they are Anushtan Pradhan. Everybody can learn from it, everybody can follow it exactly, try to behave, walk in the footsteps of Lord Ram. But there is another category of pastimes of the Lord which are only Anubhav Pradhan. They cannot be imitated, they can only be experienced. For example, Lord Krishna's activities, especially when he is in Vrindavan, lifting the Govardhan hill, how can one walk in the footsteps of Lord Krishna? It is only Anubhav Pradhan, you can only experience. Lord Krishna expanding himself in 16,108 forms and simultaneously entering all the palaces and then coming out simultaneously from all the palaces at the same time and again becoming one and entering the court of Dwarka. This is inconceivable. This is only Anubhav Pradhan. So some activities of the Lord are Anushtan Pradhan, some activities of the Lord are Anubhav Pradhan. So based on our spiritual advancement, we have to understand the pastimes of the Lord under the guidance of a spiritual master. As Srila Prabhupada says, we should not imitate, but we should follow. Even the activities of the spiritual master for that matter. The disciple is supposed to grow in the image of the spiritual master, try to get or rather cultivate the devotional qualities which he sees in the spiritual master. But again, one should not imitate the spiritual master, one should just try to follow the spiritual master. So in today's verse, or rather before today's verse, what has happened? So when Lord Rishabh is roaming around like this, there is a king, I think his name is not mentioned. His name is mentioned? King Arhat, yeah, his name is mentioned. So he was the ruler of three provinces, Konka, Venka and Kutaka. I did not get time to understand where these states are in present day. But in the previous verse it is mentioned that Lord Rishabh ended up his pastimes in a forest area near Katakachala. So Katakachala, this word is very close to the area Katak right now. And there is this king Arhat, who is the king of the provinces Konka, Venka and Kataka. So we can understand Katak region, Konka, Venka means, I'm guessing Venkatachala, this Andhra region or Tirupati region, and Konka, I'm just speculating it may be Karnataka region or whatever. So there was this king who was ruling these three provinces. He started imitating the activities of Lord Rishabh. There is an entire chapter, Teachings of Lord Rishabh. He completely ignored that. He did not study the teachings of Lord Rishabh. He just tried to see Lord Rishabh and act like him. Lord Rishabh is acting at the Paramahamsa platform and he is performing activities which is not possible for any other human being. For example, when we pass stool and urine, do we even look at it? We just flush it out because it is very, very bad odor. Depends on what we ate the previous day. But Lord Rishabh's stool is so fragrant that it is spreading its fragrance 80 miles around. And everybody is feeling happy because Lord Rishabh passed stool in this area. So this is not possible for any human being. This is only possible for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Still people try to imitate him. So imitation is not possible. If we really want to imitate, we should imitate this activity also. Like many people say, I want to follow in the footsteps of Lord Shiva. And some crazy person has spread this rumor that Lord Shiva is drinking and smoking. It's like the father is drinking and smoking, so what the mother and the children will do, what kind of family it is, we don't know. This rumor they have spread. They want to follow Lord Shiva and they want to smoke and they want to not have bath, etc. without understanding the mood of Lord Shiva. But then Lord Shiva has also drunk poison. Oh, that I don't want to imitate. I will selectively choose which verse of Bhagavad Gita I want to follow. While imitating some other great personality, I will selectively choose which aspect of his pastime I want to follow. Basically, I will do whatever I want and I will live according to my own whims and fancies. This kind of lifestyle is a very, very bad lifestyle. And this leads to a lot of irreligion. Yad yad acharati shreshthas tattad evitaro janah sayat pramanam kurute lokas tad anuvartate. Whatever activities a great man performs, the common men follow. So a king is a great person. This king Arhat, Konka, Venka and Kataka, he started imitating. He gave up his Vedic life and he started imitating the pastimes of Lord Rishabdev without reading the teachings of Lord Rishabdev. Now, if you want to understand a great personality, you have to go to those people who know that personality. If you want to understand Krishna, you have to go to Arjuna, or you have to go to Narada or Vyasa, and they will be able to explain you what Krishna is. If this king Arhat was really interested in understanding who is Lord Rishabdev, he should have approached the sons of Rishabdev. He should have approached Bharat. He should have approached the people whom he had spent time all his life with, and then try to understand what is going on. But he didn't. He simply, relied on his own so-called intelligence to understand the activities of a Paramahamsa. So therefore he got fully bewildered. And that led to rise to a very, very irreligious form of cheating religion. The Bhagavatam says, Dharma projita kaitavo atra paramo nirmatsaranam satam Vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayon moolanam. So this is the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So dharma projita kaitavo. Srimad Bhagavatam is such a transcendental discussion that generally at the worldly platform, the dharma consists of dharma, artha, kama and moksha. But Srimad Bhagavatam says that these are all motivated interpretations of true religion. I want to do sense gratification, so I want to do some dharma. I want impersonal liberation, so I want to do some dharma. I want money, so I want to do some dharma. And I want to execute some sacrifice and rituals. I don't care whether it is spiritual or not, but I want to do it. So this is all motivated interpretations of dharma. Real dharma is that which teaches us how to love God and how to serve God. If you read the first chapter of that book, Science of Self-Realization, Prabhupada writes it in the first paragraph only. Real dharma means how to love God and how to serve God. That is not being taught in 95% of the Vedic literature. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam says, Dharma projita kaitavo atra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. Kick out all religion or those forms of religion which is materially motivated. So Srimad Bhagavatam is not at that platform. It is completely transcendental. And in Kali Yuga, all the contemporary religions which we have are more or less materially motivated. When Lord Krishna was speaking the Bhagavad Gita, at that time there was no Hinduism, no Islam, no Jainism, no Buddhism, and no Christianity, nothing. There was only two kinds of religion. One is the Vedic religion and the other is non-Vedic. Those who are followers of Vedas or Vedic religion, they were called as Aryans. And those who didn't follow the Vedic religion or the Vedic culture, they were called as Mlechas and Yavanas. That was the only two distinction at that point of time. Of course, Varnas were there, Chatur Varna Maya Shrishtam, Guna Karma Swabhagvacha. So according to guna and karma, where the various varnas were decided, and various varnas and various ashramas had their own occupational duties. And everybody understood it very nicely and they followed it also. However, as Kali Yuga began, many contemporary religious systems came up which were highly inspired by Kali Yuga, based on mental concoctions, aiding to the whimsical fancies of people. So today's verse says, people who are lowest among men and are bewildered by the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. Lowest among men means worst, or rather to the degree of dog eaters. Lowest among men, Chandalas. People who are lowest among men and are bewildered by Maya of the Lord will give up the original Varnashram Dharma and its rules and regulations. They will abandon bathing 3 times daily and worshipping the Lord. Abandoning cleanliness and neglecting Krishna, they will accept nonsensical principles. What are these nonsensical principles? Not regularly bathing or washing their mouths regularly. They will always remain unclean. They will pluck out their hair. Following a concocted religion, they will flourish. Why they are flourishing? Because personalities like Maharaj Parikshit are not there, and this is Kali Yuga. So such things will flourish, at least for some time. During this age of Kali, people are more inclined to irreligious systems. Consequently, they will naturally deride the Vedic authority and the followers of the Vedic authority. So ISKCON as an organization is based on the Vedic literature, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. So generally these people who are in this category, bewildered by Maya, they will always deride ISKCON and the followers of ISKCON. Because we say, speak and conduct ourselves based on Vedic authority, and they will deride the Vedic authority. And there is one very famous so-called guru, he calls himself the good guru. He says, don't read the Vedic literature. Don't read the Bhagavad Gita, don't read Bhagavad, don't read any Vedic literature. Remain uneducated. Your mind is like a parachute, it works only when it's open. When you read the Vedic literature, it gets flavored. So if you really want to realize who you are and the ultimate reality, don't read the Vedas, just explore everything and everything will come to you and the supreme truth will come to you. Don't read any book. But I have written one book. Every member of my foundation should read it. This is the statement. This is top class hypocrisy. It's like saying, do not go to school, but whatever I am teaching, you follow. He's thinking himself to be like Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj used to speak like this. Don't listen to the teachers what they are teaching. I am teaching you Srimad Bhagavatam after having learned from Narad Muni, and I know the best. So people are in Kali Yuga, they are doing these things. And there is a very recent YouTube video which was somebody forwarded me, where this good guru is saying that even if God comes and speaks to me about life, now, if a small child tells me about life, I will hear it with a lot of respect. But even if God comes and tells me about life, I will not listen to him. Because when it comes to life, I know more than God. I know it sounds very egoistic and very self-opinionated, but what to do? It is the truth. He said this much, and everybody was clapping like this. So this is the kind of, please pardon me for using a strong word, this is the kind of rascaldom which is prevailing in the society. So all these people, they belong in this category. They call themselves the good guru, but they come in this category, bewildered by Maya and lowest among the men. They are the lowest because they do not know what is the definition of guru. If you want to buy gold, there is this BIS hallmark. And it defines what is that hallmark, and based on that hallmark, gold is judged. So similarly, the Vedic literatures, they have defined who is a guru, what is the qualification of a guru, who can be a guru, who cannot be a guru. Just because you have a bad quality gold, and if you declare like a rebel and an outlaw in the market that I don't care for this BIS hallmark, my gold is the best gold, although it is not in line with the BIS hallmark, idiots will go to such a person and purchase gold. Similarly, there are so many so-called pseudo saints in the market these days. They are saying that don't read Gita, don't read this, don't read that, and I am a guru and you have to follow me. So only ignorant people, or rather unfortunate people, go to such cases. Now, there are a few aspects which are highlighted in this purport. One of them is cleanliness. I often explain it to people that ISKCON नहाने वालों की संस्था है. It's an organization where we have bath. As soon as one gets admitted in ISKCON, the water bill increases because it is very necessary to have bath. Not that I was always following this principle all my life, let's be honest. I was also an engineering student at one point of time, and I used to stay in the college hostels, and after that I don't want to say. But then there were some high class people in the hostel. They used to have bath twice a day, thrice a day. I used to tell them, why do you waste your time? You go to the bathroom and then you wash your clothes and then you have bath. And you do it 3 times, 4 times a day. Once I asked one fellow, why do you have bath? This is long back, disclaimer. 15 years ago maybe. So they said that I feel very fresh when I have bath. I said this is a stupid reason. Freshness is just a state of mind. Just like one of the politicians said very recently that poverty is a state of mind. So I said that freshness is just a state of mind. Why do you need to have bath? But now I realize how ignorant I was. It is very, very important. Srila Prabhupada says in various places, I'm going to quote Srila Prabhupada now. It is the practice of yogi, brahmachari, vanaprastha and sannyasi to bathe at least 3 times daily. Early in the morning, during the noon time and in the evening. Srimad Bhagavatam 3:33-14. Prabhupada has ordered all of us to have bath at least 3 times. Some places he says 3 times, some places he says 2 times. But most of the places he says 3 times. So having bath is very, very important. I remember reading this section from Chaitanya Bhagavat where the mother of Lord Chaitanya was going for a bath to the Ganges, and she used to go and have bath thrice a day. And then while going to the ghat and coming in that period, she met Mother Vishnupriya, the to-be wife of Lord Chaitanya, and she saw that this girl, small girl, also comes to have bath thrice a day, and she's very nice. She appreciated. So just by having bath thrice a day, of course, that's not the only reason, but that is one of the reasons why she got Lord Chaitanya as a husband. So those who want a good husband, please have bath 3 times a day. Basically what I'm trying to say, that cleanliness or shaucha is one of the pillars of dharma. One has to be clean both internally as well as externally. External cleanliness is very important. If you are not externally clean, there is a strange kind of ignorance, there is a strange kind of madness which is in you, which you cannot detect, but it is controlling you to the core. That's called as the modes of material nature. It's a strange kind of madness. Prabhupada says not having bath is madness and being naked is madness. These are the 2 kinds of madnesses which prevail in the society. Nakedness and uncleanliness is a kind of madness, and it controls you to the core, and you do not realize. So, it is important to have bath. In another place, Srila Prabhupada says, the Brahmana is therefore Shuchi. He is always clean, taking bath 3 times, clothes are washed, mouth, hands, legs, all clean, tilak applied. This is called Brahmana, Shaucham. So this Shaucham is very important. So we become clean by having bath 3 times a day, and we become clean internally, that is heart free of lust, anger, greed, illusion, enviousness and attachments by doing what? By chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So therefore in Garud Puran there is a very famous verse. Om apavitraha pavitro va sarvavastham gato piva yah smaret pundari kakshah sarvahya abhayantara shuchihi. This is the mantra for doing deity worship. For doing duty worship, we recite various mantras in order to rise above the bodily conception and come at the transcendental platform before approaching the Lord. This is a practice. So, in order to approach the Lord and serve the Lord, you have to be at the transcendental platform above the bodily conception. So that means external cleanliness and internal cleanliness both are absolutely mandatory. Imagine a person who is not chanting Hare Krishna but having bath 5 times a day. That's good, you can call it hygienic, but then after a certain point of time, that will not give a lot of result. Similarly, a person who is not having bath only chanting Hare Krishna, first of all, that is not possible. Without external cleanliness, for sadhakas, internal cleanliness is not possible. So, if anybody gives an excuse that I am so busy chanting my 16 rounds that I don't have bath, I don't have time to cut my nails, and I don't have time to wash my clothes, we should immediately understand what we should do. We should test that person. We should say that you please sit here and chant Hare Krishna. And then we should take a stick and beat that person. If we beat that person and if that person is still uninterrupted in their chanting, that means we should understand he is a Paramahamsa. And then we should say, okay, it's okay if you don't have bath, because you have reached that stage of Namaras. But if while beating, if he starts crying, oh don't beat me, why you're beating me, ghar bula ke koi aisa karta hai kya? Then we should understand that he's an hypocrite. He should have bath 3 times a day. So we should judge very nicely. So this our King Arhat could not understand. And he tried to just follow. Rishabh Dev is not having bath, I will not have bath. Rishabh Dev is putting stones in his mouth, I will also put stones in his mouth. Rishabh Dev is passing stool and urine and lying and rolling on it, I will also do that. Rishabh Dev is doing this, I will also do that. Without understanding the essence, if we try to follow, this is what will happen. So therefore we need the guidance of a guru, because guru helps us to understand what are the activities of the Lord. We should not try to use our own intelligence. We should not use our charma chakshu. This King Arhat, who is the founder of Jainism, used his charma chakshu or biological eyes to understand transcendental reality. He forgot to use shastra chakshu. We have to see through shastra chakshu. They rejected all the Vedic principle, but they forgot this one single point. Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyo vedant krit vedavid eva chaham. Krishna says, I am the compiler of the Veda, I am the knower of the Vedas, and by all the Vedas I am to be known. And I am trying to understand Krishna by rejecting all the Vedic literature. So therefore it is not possible. What he did was contradictory to the practice of spiritual life. And so therefore we see so many deviations now in the form of so many contemporary religions, and one of them is, according to Srila Prabhupada, Jainism also. So let's try to understand what is this Paramahamsa platform, because it is mentioned in today's verse. I hope everybody is clear that we should have bath. That is the first point which I have made, and we should try our best to have bath as many times as possible, but according to Srila Prabhupada, at least 3 times. If not at least 3 times, at least 2 times. Less than that is not ISKCON standard at all. Now, what is this avadhuta mood? In even our Mangalacharan prayers, we say Sadvaitam, Sa Avadhutam. We are referring to Lord Nityananda, Avadhuta. The word Avadhuta means that somebody has reached such kind of spiritual perfection that they are above the Varnashram Dharma. That is what it means. In general, nobody is above the Varnashram Dharma. But when spiritual realization and continuous engagement in transcendental service to Lord Krishna has reached this essence, or one has pleased the spiritual master in such a way that they have understood the essence of devotional service, then if they may so desire, they may choose not to follow the Varnashram Dharma. However, it has been seen that great personalities, although they are at the platform of Paramahamsa, they choose to follow the Varnashram Dharma just to set a good example. However, Srila Prabhupada says, when a person factually understands, this is from Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, when a person factually understands Krishna and his relationship with Krishna. When does one understand Krishna and his relationship with Krishna? When they read Prabhupada's books, when they eat prasad, when they associate with devotees, when they chant Hare Krishna. But complete understanding of Krishna, or rather his relationship with Krishna, is only possible at the level of prema. So when one factually, that means with experience, jnana vijnana sahitam, when a person factually understands Krishna and his relationship with Krishna, he naturally becomes completely indifferent to the rituals of fruitive activities, even though being an experienced Brahmana. Srila Prabhupada quotes Madhavendra Puri, and Madhavendra Puri says, "Oh, my prayers 3 times a day," that means the Gayatri, or remembering the Guru, "all glory to you. O bathing, I offer my obeisances unto you. O demigods, O forefathers, please excuse me for my inability to offer you my respects. Now wherever I sit, I can remember the great descendant of the Yadu dynasty, Krishna, the enemy of Kamsa, and thereby I can free myself from all sinful bondage. I think this is sufficient for me." And to conclude that purport, Srila Prabhupada says, when one is fully in Krishna consciousness and is engaged in transcendental loving service, one becomes indifferent to all these regulative principles because he has already attained perfection. So this is the stage at which Lord Rishabdev is performing his pastimes. He has completely attained perfection, and he is completely above the rules and regulations of the Varnashram Dharma, but others are not at that stage. So they cannot be imitated. For example, you are moving in Bangalore traffic, and every 500 meters a signal is coming, and the traffic is moving inch by inch, and you are getting stuck. And there is a helicopter flying in the sky, which is not stopping at the red signal, which is not stopping at the various U-turns and other things. If you are looking up at the helicopter and driving, what will happen? It's foolishness to imitate the helicopter, because the helicopter is not bound to the rules and regulations of the traffic. Similarly, a Paramahamsa is not bound to the rules and regulations of the Varnashram Dharma. And if anybody tries to imitate a Paramahamsa without being a Paramahamsa, they will result in irreligious systems, anarchy, and self-destruction. That is what King Arhat has done. He was not a Paramahamsa, and he was trying to imitate a Paramahamsa. So this is the serious problem. This is the mood of the Paramahamsas. This is the mood of Lord Nityananda. "O my prayers 3 times a day, all glory to you. O bathing, I offer my obeisances unto you. O demigods, O forefathers, please excuse me of my inability to offer you my respects. For now, wherever I sit, I can remember Krishna, and I can free myself from all sinful bondage." So if somebody wants to follow in the footsteps of Rishabdev, or Lord Shiva, or for that matter any such case, first we should ask ourselves, am I at the platform of always remembering Krishna and never forgetting Krishna? Is it so that wherever I sit, I always think of Krishna, and I'm completely absorbed in that thought process? If the answer is no, then we should not follow such standards which is being shown by Lord Rishabhdev. Actually, a question may come that if this standard is not to be followed only, then why did Lord Rishabhdev exhibit such pastimes? So that is also explained by Srila Prabhupada in his purports, that Lord Rishabhdev exhibited these pastimes for the Ashtanga yogis, to show them how to become detached to their siddhis and give up their body. Because the major problem in Ashtanga yoga, which defeats the entire purpose of Ashtanga yoga, is that due to material mindedness or worldly mindedness, these Ashtanga yogis, they get stuck at the siddhi platform. And for them, getting rid of this attraction to siddhis is almost next to impossible. Because this siddhis leads to puja, labh, man and pratishtha. According to the acharyas, this is the most difficult thing in spiritual life to give up. By the mercy of Krishna, one can become successful in giving up lust, anger and greed. But the desire for name, fame, pratishtha, labh. We are envious of Krishna and we have seen Krishna being famous everywhere. We have seen Krishna getting so many privileges everywhere. We have seen Krishna enjoying everywhere. We want that. We want to become like that, and that desire is very, very deep rooted, and this is the root of all false ego, and this is the root of all sense gratification, and this is the root of all enviousness. It is very, very difficult to give up. So therefore, just to teach those Ashtanga yogis that how you can become detached from your siddhis and live like a common man, he did these pastimes. But here is King Arhat, who is a worldly man, who is supposed to be following Varnashram Dharma. And these teachings were not meant for him, and he took teachings which were not meant for him and imitated and started a false religion. So that was the problem. So therefore, I began the lecture by saying that some pastimes of the Lord are Anubhav Pradhan and some are Anushtan Pradhan. Even in the teachings of Lord Rishabhdev, if you carefully see the teachings of Lord Rishabhdev, he is sitting in an assembly where Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, all are sitting. And some of his instructions, you can classify that these are the instructions for Brahmanas, these are the instructions for Kshatriyas, these are the instructions for Vaishyas. Even amongst his teachings, all teachings are not universal. Even Prabhupada says in this purpose that these are the teachings for the Brahmanas, Brahmanas should follow. These are the teachings for sannyasis, sannyasis should follow. So, Srila Prabhupada again gives an example that my books are like medicine shop. And there are all varieties of medicines there. But the medicine has to be taken as per prescription. You cannot go into that shop and say, I like this green medicine and that yellow medicine, I want to have both of them. So give me. No, you will die. This Prabhupada told in response to the Gopi Bhav Club which had started. So there was a Gopi Bhav Club which started in the presence of Prabhupada, in the physical presence of Prabhupada at one point of time. So there were some of his disciples who were reading the translations of Chaitanya Charitamrita, especially the pastimes of the gopis, which is mentioned, and they were reading that and they were relishing that this is the real rasa. What is this Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam? These are meant for neophyte sadhakas. We are reading Prabhupada books and we are getting the real nectar. And they were trying to follow in the footsteps of the gopis also. And obviously they were minimizing the Bhagavad Gita. When this news came to Srila Prabhupada was absolutely angry. It is said that he was eating some fruits, and as soon as somebody came running, offered his obeisances and said, Prabhupada, they are minimizing the Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada left that fruit, banged the table and he said, call the GBC and call all of them. And then he started his statement saying that, don't be a monkey. Don't jump from here and there. Vedic literature or my books have to be read in sequence. That's why in the Srimad Bhagavatam preface also Prabhupada says the only qualification to read Srimad Bhagavatam is to read it in sequence. And when one reads all the 9 cantos in sequential order, one becomes a God-realized man. These are the statements of Srila Prabhupada. This Gopi Bhav club, they were not reading Bhagavad Gita properly, they were not reading Bhagavatam properly. They were directly going to the pastimes of gopis, that too in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Srila Prabhupada said that my books are like a medicine shop. All the medicines are for you, but you have to take it according to prescription. So therefore, even when it comes to reading Srila Prabhupada books, there is an order. There is a shikshas level which you have to follow. There is a way in which you have to read. And if we don't read in that way, then it is disastrous to our own spiritual life. Even by reading Srila Prabhupada books, one can go to hell, if not done in the proper way. So, it is very, very important to take guidance and understand what is transcendental stuff and what is Maya. And those who are not taking guidance, they are in Maya. And they are at their own mental platform. They will concoct their own things, their own theories. There is a very nice verse in the 5th canto of Bhagavatam. Yasyasti bhakti bhagavati akinchana sarvair gunaistatra samasate suraha harav abhaktasya kuto mahadguna mano rathenasati bhavato bahi. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana means those who are devotees of the Lord at the Akinchana platform, means they think that Akinchana means someone who thinks that other than the 2 lotus feet of Krishna, there is no other property which I have. Now this does not mean that one has nothing except, physically speaking also, nothing except the 2 lotus feet of Krishna. No. This means you could be like Maharaj Yudhishthir, the king of the whole world. You may have so many elephants, so many cars and so many other things. But you do not consider it as your property, you consider yourself as a guardian of that on behalf of Krishna. And you are trying to do Yukta Vairagya, you are trying to apply everything in Krishna's service. Not Markat Vairagya, that I will not wear clothes, I will walk naked on the road. Srila Prabhupada showed Yukta Vairagya by becoming the jet age Parivrajikacharya. He sat in the jet flights and moved all around the world and preached to people. But then there are some so-called sannyasis. When they have to go from one place to another place, they will be naked, creating public anarchy, walking on the public roads. And they have to go to one place by another place by walking only. They are losing the essence of preaching. They do not understand. By the time they walk and go, Maya will make some other master strokes and nobody will be there to listen only. So, yasyasti bhakti bhagavati akinchana. Those who are devotees of the Lord, who consider that other than the 2 lotus feet of the Lord, there is no other property which they actually have for themselves. Sarvair gunais tatra samasate suraha. They have all the good qualities of the demigod. They exist in the super excellent quality of mode of transcendental goodness. But harav abhaktasya kuto mahatma. Those who are not devotees of Hari, even if they are devotees of Lord Shiva, Durga, Kali, Chandra, whatever, those who are not devotees of Hari, harav abhaktasya kuto mahatma. They have no good quality. We cannot bank upon those qualities. Those qualities are not stable, sustainable qualities. Harav abhaktasya kuto mahatma. Why? Manorathena sati dhavato bahi. They are on a mental chariot. They have made their own rules and regulations and they are thinking that is the highest reality and that is the highest truth. But that is not the case. Because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Daivi hi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mame vaye prapadyante maya me tam tarantite. So this Daivi hi esha gunamayi, this material energy of Krishna which comprises the 3 gunas, modes of material nature, mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance, they can bewilder anybody. Mama maya duratyaya. Krishna is telling they are very difficult to overcome. That means other than Krishna, nobody can overcome it. Then how do the devotees overcome it? Rupa Goswami explains in Nectar of Instruction that Krishna means Krishna, his plenary expansions, his pure devotees, his paraphernalia and his dham. All these comprise Krishna. So therefore I am right to say that only Krishna can defeat his Maya. Other than Mam eva ye prapadyante, if we do not take shelter of Krishna, other than Krishna, anywhere else if we go, Mayam etam tarandite. They will not be able to cross Maya, but if someone only goes to Krishna, they are easily able to cross over Maya. They will not fall trap to this crocodile-like sub-religions or pseudo-religions which are there in the society. This world is a bhava-sagar. It's an ocean which no one knows what is the length and breadth of this ocean. No one can cross this ocean while holding a tail of a dog. Even if somebody is an expert swimmer, they cannot cross this ocean. And in this ocean, there are various crocodile-like philosophies. The philosophies which have come in the form of contemporary religions in Kali Yuga, they are like crocodile. They are going to eat. First of all, we cannot cross this ocean. And then while we are trying to swim, these crocodiles are coming to eat us. So what to do? Srila Prabhupada said in one lecture, and also Chaitanya Charitamrita says, that anybody who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, even a child who has taken shelter of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya can cross this ocean which is full of crocodiles of false philosophies. So all we have to do is to read that book, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and try to follow it. Srila Prabhupada is also doing it. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Nami Namaste Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shundrashaya. So Gauravani Pracharine, Lord Srila Prabhupada is also spreading the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and all we have to do is follow that. Then we can save ourselves from Maya. And what happens if we do not do this? If we ignore the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, that means if we ignore the Vedic literature. So Krishna says in the 16th chapter, Yah Shastra Vidhimutsivya Vartate Kamakaratah Nasa Siddhim Avapnoti Na Sukham Na Paramagati. He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection, nor happiness, nor supreme destination. I like to put this as a PhD verse. Perfection, happiness and destination. So those who are not following the Vedic literature, they cannot get PhD. Perfection, happiness and supreme destination. Because Krishna says, Vedeshcha sarver aham eva vidyo Vedanta. Krishna has expanded himself for the welfare of the struggling living entity. Mamai vamsha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manaha shashthani indriyani. The living entity is struggling in this material world for the lack of transcendental knowledge. So in order to save the living entity, Krishna has given us Vedas and Puranas and Vedic literature. And Krishna has given us the Guru Parampara, only via which we can access this Vedic literature. Vedic literature is inaccessible without the assistance of the Guru Parampara. And what is the aim of accessing this Vedic literature via the Guru Parampara? The aim is not to become a scholar. The aim is to become a devotee. Advaitam achyutam anadim anantarupam adyam purana purusham navayauvanam cha Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atma bhakto govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajan. Even if we access this Vedic literature by the help of the Guru Parampara, still if we do not become a devotee, then this Vedic literature also cannot reveal Krishna to us. Vedeshu durlabham. Krishna cannot be attained by becoming a Visharad or a Prakand Vidwan in the Vedic literature. Look at Shukracharya. Even the son of Brihaspati comes to learn the Sanjeevani Vidya from Shukracharya. Such a great personality. But Vedeshu Durlabham, Adurlabham Atma Bhaktam. In the Bali Maharaj pastime, Srila Prabhupada says that Shukracharya is a smart Brahmana. He is telling Bali Maharaj not to surrender to Vishnu, because if he surrenders to Vishnu, he will lose everything, and then how will Shukracharya get his remuneration? Prabhupada says that looks like Shukracharya is a smart Brahmana. He is not a Vaishnava Brahmana. So Vedeshu Durlabham. Shukracharya is considered to be, even in the Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter, the opulences of Krishna, the 84 vibhutis which are mentioned, the name of Shukracharya also comes. But that is meant for material knowledge. Shukracharya can be considered as the epitome of materialistic knowledge, but that did not help him to attain Krishna or the mercy of Krishna. But those who are devotees of Krishna, Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakto, those who are devotees of Krishna, they very easily attain Krishna. Srila Prabhupada gives an example in one of his lectures that how easy it is for a devotee to attain Krishna. He said that when I was in Shri Radha Damodar temple writing the first 3 volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam, there used to be this old widow lady. It was very clear that she was rejected by her family. It was very clear that she was not a scholar or highly educated person. It was very clear that she basically could not understand the Vedic literature also. But there was one activity which she was doing daily. She used to get up early in the morning, 3:30, have bath, take a pot, go to the Yamuna, fill it with Yamuna water and bring it for doing Abhishekam of Shri Radha Damodar in the temple. And Srila Prabhupada would say that I only used to open the gate for her every morning, and that water would be given to the pujari, and she would stand there every day just to see the Lord being bathed. Srila Prabhupada said that just because she did this one single activity daily, and she did it with love and devotion and affection for Krishna, with a sense of responsibility and accountability, that if I will not bring the water, how will the Lord have bath? Just because she did this one single activity daily with a sense of responsibility and accountability, she is going back home, back to God. Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma. She became a devotee of Shri Radha Damodar, and she didn't know the Vedic literature. But because she had full faith, somebody must have told her to do so. Somebody must have guided her, definitely. So because she had full faith in her Guru and in Krishna, all the purports of Vedic literature were automatically revealed in the core of her heart. And because Shukracharya is not a devotee of Krishna, and he has not full faith in Krishna, let's say, so the purports of Vedic literature is not being revealed in his heart. So that's the problem. So this is the summum bonum of today's discussion, that we should not fall trap to these various crocodile-like philosophies which are there right now in Kali Yuga and which will come even more in more numbers in future. We should stick to the Vedic injunctions. Have full faith in the Vedic, never doubt even a single line which is told in the Vedic literature. Have full faith in Srila Prabhupada. Do not doubt Srila Prabhupada's teachings, that Prabhupada did not give us everything, or rather there is some more Rasika stuff available somewhere which I will read and become a pure devotee. Prabhupada only talks about body and soul. Never have such doubts. And never deride the Vedic authority, never deride the Brahmanas, never deride Krishna, and maintain, consider yourself to be a follower of Varnashram Dharma. Understand what is your occupational duty based on your Varna and your Ashram, and try to strictly follow it. Even if Prabhupada is taught by his own personal example. Prabhupada was a Paramahamsa. He is a Paramahamsa. But although he is a Paramahamsa, still when he used to go to various places like Kumbh Mela and all, it was very cold. But still, just to set a right example amongst his disciples, he used to have bath with cold water at the age of 70. And then have bath thrice a day. I remember reading in the Prabhupada Lilamrit that when he is leaving Butler, he is taking some change from Gopal Agarwal. That while I am traveling to New York, on the way, I need to have bath 3 times a day. So I need some change to get into the motels and have bath. So he was very strictly following the rules and regulations of the sannyas ashram. Every ashram has some privileges and some tapasya. If we accept the privileges of a particular ashram and ignore the tapasya, we become mithyacharis. But if we accept the privileges, at the same time we also accept the tapasya, then we become Vaishnavas. So irrespective of whichever ashram we belong to, from our place, at our pace, we should join the race of Krishna consciousness. So with that, I would like to conclude today's discussion. Just to summarize, we saw that the pastimes of the Lord are Anubhav Pradhan as well as Anushtan Pradhan. We should understand, based on our spiritual maturity, under the guidance of Guru, where we should follow and where we should not imitate. We understood that ISKCON is an organization of people who like to have bath. ISKCON नहाने वालों की संस्था है, and it is very auspicious to have bath. Whether you are a yogi or a brahmachari or a vanapastha or a sannyasi, having bath at least 3 times a day, that means early morning, noon time and evening, is must. It brings us at the platform of goodness. It helps us to remain healthy. It removes chemical imbalances happening in the body because of various thought process or hormonal activities. And by having bath, we remain clean, and cleanliness is next to godliness. It's very important to have bath. I have seen in my personal example, not in my personal life, from my personal experience, and also in my college days, those who used to have bath regularly, they were always happy in life. I've seen that. Talking about bath, we also discussed that it is important to be internally clean also. And for internal cleanliness, we have to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We tried to understand the avadhut nature or the mood of Lord Rishabhdev by understanding the mood of Srila Madhavendra Puri. And then we understood that it is important to follow the teachings of the Acharyas, read the purports of Srila Prabhupada, and understand that simply by following the Vedic authorities like Srila Prabhupada, we can save ourselves from Maya. If we do not follow the authorities or the Acharyas, then we will have no good qualities and we'll be on a mental chariot which is deciding its own good and bad. Mano rathe nasati dhavat sahi. We understood that other than surrendering to Krishna, there is no other way to overcome Maya and its influence. And lastly, we understood that those who discard the scriptural injunction and act according to their own whims and fancies neither attain perfection, nor happiness, nor the supreme destination, PhD. So with that, I would like to conclude today's discussion. If there are any questions, comments, reflections, they are welcome. Yes, Sachidanand Vigraha Prabhu has a question. Oh, he had it. You can take the mic. Okay, please. Yes. Little idea I have. The question here is, Prabhu is asking that it appears that all the religions have come from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And King Arhat, did he propose the rules and regulations of present day Jainism, or has it evolved over a period of time? This was the question. See, definitely Krishna is Sarva Karana Karana. But if I say that the religion of Chandalas has also come from Krishna, it is not a fact. If I say that the Mayavad has also come from Krishna, of course it has, everything comes from Krishna, but does Krishna want it to happen? Answer is no. When Krishna sees that the living entity is so bewildered and they are so much envious and they are so much against the Vedic culture, but still they want to live a life of some kind of social acceptance, Krishna allows some concocted religions to spring, which the envious, rebellious Jivatmas can take shelter of. For example, when he came as Lord Buddha, he propagated Buddhism for a purpose, to save the animals from being slaughtered. And after that, he had his plan. He sent personalities like Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, and then he again came, and we have practically, or rather we see, this philosophy of Lord Chaitanya and Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, they drove Buddhists out of this country, practically speaking. All the Buddhism, this is the birthplace of Buddhism. So the Lord has a plan. There are some envious people who will not take shelter. So for them, in order to stop them from taking shelter of Vedic literature to slaughter animals, he came as Buddha and he tricked them into the mode of goodness by telling, don't follow Vedas, just follow me. So he stopped animal slaughter. But after that, he came as Shankaracharya and he said, you should follow Vedas. You know why? Because you are God. I am God. Everybody is God. People thought, yeah, this is a good proposal. Lord Buddha said, don't follow Vedas, but he didn't give us God position. But here is Shankaracharya. He is asking us to follow the Vedas and become God. And then after that, the other acharyas came, no, you are not God. You are separate from Jivatma. You are Jivatma and Bhagwan. And then Ramanujacharya, and then ultimately Lord Chaitanya. So he has a plan. Everything comes from him, but he does it just like a helpless parent. The child is nagging and crying for something. I want to play in the rain, I want to play in the rain, I want to play in the rain. After having given the Bhagavad Gita, after having personally exhibited the pastimes in Dwarka, Vrindavan and Mathura, and after having given the entire Bhagavatam, if still they are nagging, okay, take Buddhism. That is the mood in which these kind of living entities are dealt with. You understood? I have not finished my answer. So, sabka dukaan chalna chahiye. Even the atheist should have a social acceptance. So therefore Mayavad is there. That is love of Krishna. Krishna loves this Mayavadi, so therefore he lets him exist in the Mayavadi ignorance. Somebody wants to be a Buddhist, somebody wants to pluck the hair out of their head. Okay, take this Jainism. Be happy in this. This is love of Krishna, although this is not the truth. Dharma projita kaitavo atra paramo nirmatsaranam. This is real dharma. And Krishna wants this, Krishna demands this. Prabhupada has said this, Prabhupada has explained this. Prabhupada never explained or asked anybody to follow even Hinduism for that matter. He only said, follow Krishna, follow Bhagavad Gita. This is the answer to the first part of your question. The second part, how has these contemporary religions, how have they evolved? The present rules and regulations which they are following, were they given by King Arhat? The answer is yes and no. King Arhat started few of them, but over a period of time, many other influential personalities, they come and they add and delete some rules and regulations. For example, if you see the Buddhism, the original Buddhism which Lord Buddha has proposed, and the kind of Buddhism which is almost to the level of personal worship, if you go to Bodh Gaya, they have installed a big deity of Lord Buddha. They change the dress 3 times a day. They offer Britannia biscuits and they burn a candle. This is almost next to doing arti. Now, where in Buddhism personal worship is recommended, you tell me? Now, how this came, even Dalai Lama, when he comes, he also offers candle and offers biscuits and changes and sees the dress being changed. This was not taught by Lord Buddha, but over a period of time, this evolution has happened. So, similarly, present day Jainism may not be understood as the exact teachings of King Arhat, but it has evolved from the teachings of King Arhat. The last segment of your question was that it appears very similar to Vaishnavism. They don't eat onion and garlic, they follow some. It appears to be a philosophy in the mode of goodness. My answer is no. If there is a wife who is very good at cooking, who is very beautiful, who cleans the house very nicely, but is not chaste, what's the point? All her good qualities are useless if she is not a chaste wife. Similarly, a religion, irrespective of no matter what so level of goodness it is promoting, but if it is not connecting you to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is a waste of time. In fact, if I'm not wrong, my Jain friends have told me that the goal of every Jain is to become God. So, although it may look very similar to Vaishnavism, no onion, garlic, no this, no that, have bath, this, that, but what is the point? They are not chaste to Krishna. So everything is a failure. Definitely. Does this answer your questions, too? 3 segments of your question? I didn't answer the main question. Okay, what's the main question? Yes. So you have to read the history. There are something called as Shwetambaras and Digambaras in Jainism, and how this happened and how various Tirthankaras they came and influenced. Some Tirthankaras said something, some Tirthankaras said something. So we have to do the historical study, but Bhagavatam says that King Arhat is the source of Jainism and the source of all hippies. So even the hippies are connected to King Arhat. This is Prabhupada's Praman, and we have to accept it. Any other question or comment? Prabhu, you please stop me when time. Mic is not working.
So, would you add in the external perspective of Padaji, I am not talking from the Shastra perspective in this question particularly. So,
a conversation which is not based on Shastra
no, I'm just trying to commit to the
is often a waste of time.
like whatever you told mostly science believes into it and science asks us to follow that.
Science, okay.
Medical science. Like if you talk about doctors, we should bath, we should do whatever is that science, totally kind of aligned to our Shastra, what are the best practices are there. That is to which I am aligned. Now, I think no conflict is there with today's modern life.
Yeah.
With the Shastra, where I am coming to.
Okay.
So, students studying in the night, not taking bath, for various reasons, practically, not doing the right things. And Mata is over special period, where they cannot cook or they cannot go to temple. Senior citizens have got their own problems. And then you will also have certain kind of reservations or things. Sometimes they cannot follow the Shastras. So, what are the recommendations in the modern life versus Vedic life? There is a concern of water. If you bath 3 times, there will not enough water in the house, or water will deplete. There are environmental concerns are there. So what is your opinion on that?
I'm trying to find the essence of your question. The essence of your question is that we are in circumstances where cleanliness is not possible, so how to maintain cleanliness?
Because of the good what is
Yes. Mind is cheating not to be clean. Water shortage is cheating us not to be clean. See, when it comes to mind cheating us not to be clean, we have to deal with the mind. Mind control means doing the same thing at the same time every day, again and again. which is taught by Srila Prabhupada. So that cannot be avoided. If somebody is saying that I will go against the biological cycle of the body, see, the cycle of the body is tuned according to sunrise and sunset. So when the sun rises, some changes happen in the body. When the sun sets, some changes happen in the body. And if I am subject to sunrise and sunset, then I should tune my life according to sunrise and sunset. That means night is not meant for studying but for sleeping. If somebody is going against the biological cycle and trying to do something, they can never become a yogi. One who eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or sleeps too little cannot become a yogi. They will never attain perfection, happiness or higher destination according to Lord Krishna. So first of all, everybody should understand this, that I should not try to go against the nature. Gravity acts, modes of nature act, the rules of Bhagavad Gita act, sunrise, sunsets act. That is their problem, and probably they have learnt it from some friend or maybe some environment, some bad association, or maybe the parents are not stressing about it. So we have to teach our children the right culture, that there is a time to sleep, there is a time to get up. Until unless it's an emergency, things should be avoided, things should be done at a proper time. Because there is a reason why nightclubs and bars and all these things they open in the night only. Because the consciousness of a man is submerged in ignorance when the sun sets. We don't see any bars or any casinos opening 4:30 a.m. in the morning. Because at that time it is natural to focus on the spiritual activities. So we should train our children in that way. We should make them understand the basic principles of life, the culture of the Vedic, the culture of the Vedas basically. So let not their mind cheat them. Now, the second part of your question was there is lack of water, so how to have bath? See, bathing does not mean I necessarily need 4 buckets. If you listen to Prabhupada disciples, Prabhupada has been in so many circumstances where not enough water was there. Once he was at an airport and he was feeling sleepy and there was no bathroom at the airport. So he went and analyzed at the airport. There was only one wash basin. He said, get my lota. And then 2-3 lotas he took, that's all. And the water fell on the airport floor only, no problem. He did what he had to do, and in just 2-3 lotas he became refreshed. So we have to not cheat ourselves. I have seen ISKCON devotees having bath in train also. Because they are sincere and serious and they are honest. When bath needs to be done, it needs to be done. Now, if I am really living in such a place where there is absolutely no water, I am a madman. Lord Chanakya Pandit says that if a place has no water, leave that place. Why you are staying at such a place? But let me tell you, by the mercy of Lord Krishna, there is no place on this earth which is having so much lack of water that there is not 1 lota of water also. You need only, practically speaking, 2 lotas, one to go to toilet and one to have bath. And after that, you can manage. Of course, whenever you get time. When I would go to school, the time used to be less. So I used to have bath in 5 minutes. But my mother used to force me, in weekends at least, or at least in the evening, to take at least 20 minutes and have bath. So this kind of culture I had at my home. So whenever time, sometimes we get only half an hour to read Srila Prabhupada's books. Sometimes preaching is more, we chant only 16 rounds. But whenever we get opportunity, we should take the maximum of it. Same is for spiritual life and same is for having bath also. Does this answer your question? Thank you. Hare Krishna. So we'd like to end our discussion here today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,